Wood is one of a series of 4 short films, each featuring a craftsperson demonstrating a skill from the medieval period. Each film is named for the material in use: wood, dye, cloth, and leather. The films have been produced for Hull and East Riding Museum, made possible through funding from Arts Council England. In each film, the craftsperson is working outdoors in a small tent, the interior of which has been patterned as cream brickwork, decorated with a flower motif in brown. A small arched window has been painted on the left rear wall, with a view of clouds against a blue sky. The craftsperson's tools are laid out on a long wooden bench on the right of the tent. The front of the tent is held open with tasselled ropes. The craftsperson featured here is Hugh, a slight man in his 50s with a neat silver beard. He wears loose grey trousers, a long-sleeved blue tunic lacing at the front, and a red felt cap segmented in 4 with the seams forming a cross-shaped ridge at the top. A thin leather belt around his waist holds a pouch for his tools. Medieval woodworking, making a mortise and tenon joint. Hugh sits astride a narrow wooden bench with a block of wood around a foot long, held in place with pegs in front of him. He uses a plane, a flat blade set into a wooden handle, to smooth the wood, pulling the tool towards him with a scraping motion. He marks up the position for the hole or mortise using a wooden set square to ensure a right angle. There were no lead pencils in this time, so he uses a scratch awl, a thick metal pin in a handle, to score a line. He checks the measurements on a marking gauge. Hugh stands to begin drilling out the hole. The drill looks much like the head of a spear, but the arrow point is curved. On the end of the foot-long shaft is a wooden crosspiece so it can be held and turned. Hugh places the drill point down where he is marked, applies pressure and begins to turn it. The concave arrow gradually bores a hole in the wood as it scrapes in a circle. Wood shavings slowly pile up around it. Hugh begins a second hole. This is to save time with the chisel later on. Carpentry in the medieval period is piecework, so time is money. We cut forward to a pair of deeply sunk holes in the wood, each about 1.5 inches in diameter. Hugh moves the wood to a larger bench, where it is held in place with metal clamps. He uses a long metal chisel and a large wooden mallet to work the 2 round holes into a single rectangular mortise. He then uses a smaller chisel to neaten the hole, gouging out any remaining ridges in the wood. The mortise and tenon joint is fundamental to medieval building, and it needs to slot in smoothly. Hugh knocks the 2 metal clamps loose and takes out the mortise piece. He starts work on the tenon, slicing lengthways down a rectangular block of wood to the depth of the mortise hole using a hand saw. The saw is a long curved blade, a similar shape to a butcher's knife, but with a serrated edge. The excess wood drops away, and Hugh smooths the edges and sharpens the corners of the tenon, scraping it with a large flat chisel called a framing slick. The tenon is held in place with pegs on the bench, and the mortise block is pulled onto it. The joint fits the hole precisely. Hugh taps it into place with a hammer. He picks up the hammer and chisel to mark the joint with a number so they can be matched up for construction. He chisels a shallow X into each piece. Next, he takes a chisel with a curved blade and uses this to tap his unique maker's mark into the pieces. This is to ensure he will be paid for each piece that he makes. Finally, Hugh hammers a round wooden peg into a hole in the side of the mortise joint to hold the tenon firmly in place.